What we're doing is our mid-season Guardians Awards, and I'm really glad that we are doing that. Now, I sent my awards in as soon as this came out. I think Mikey sent the email out.
Texted you guys yesterday.
Yeah. Yesterday, and I immediately sent my answers. So I can't really remember all of them because there were so many. But I
think we got 7 awards we're going to give out.
Okay, 7 awards.
Here we go.
What are we going to start with on the first one?
We're going to be starting with MVP.
MVP, okay.
And this is up to this point of the season. This is the first half
Obviously.
MVP, obviously, for everyone who knows.
Yeah.
Okay.
And,
well, there they are. Right?
Mike and I had the same picks.
Jay went with Cade Smith. Myself and Bo went with
I'll tell you why I went with Cade Smith.
Yeah, you go first.
We have the most one-run wins in Major League Baseball. You take away the closer, who's been virtually lights out since mid-April. You take him away, and you just put an average closer in there, and we're not 5 games. What are we? 4 games over 500?
I think 5. I think 51-46.
Okay, we're not 5 games over 500. We're 5 games under 500, and you're the Minnesota Twins or you're the Detroit Tigers, and you're on the outside looking in right now. Mm-hmm. So for me, the guy who I think has performed the best at his position and has added the most value to the team is the guy that makes these 8-inning games.
Go ahead, Mike.
I'll tell you why I went with Rocchio first, and I'm curious if it's the same reason for Bull. Smith's had his ups and downs, been mostly good.
His downs
mostly good.
were the first 2 weeks of the season.
Yeah, and then he had that little tiny rough spell in the middle of last month. But he's been, for the most part, very, very, very good. Arguably the best closer in the American League. But this Guardians lineup has been without Jose for extended periods of time, without Angel Martinez for extended periods of time, without Chase DeLauder for a little bit of time. Travis Bazzana wasn't called up till midseason. They traded Bo Naylor. This lineup should not be. Stephen Kwan's been a shell of himself.
They
We'll
didn't
talk about
trade
him in
Bo
a little
Naylor.
bit.
He's invisible.
They got rid of Bo Naylor.
So they traded away Bo Naylor. They brought in Patrick
Well, they
Bailey.
didn't trade him away. He's
down.
in the minors.
Yeah, they sent him down.
Oh, he wasn't traded.
AAA Columbia.
Patrick Bailey,
Yeah.
sorry. But the big picture is Brian Rocchio's been a guy who's played in 94 of the 95 games.
Yeah.
He's hitting 270 plus, has the highest career WAR of his entire career.
Yeah.
Highest career OPS. He's already tied his career high in home runs and RBIs at the midway point of the season. And he has been the one fixture night in, night out for Stephen Vogt that you could pencil in that lineup and say, we at least have Brian Rocchio. And for the consistency factor and the fact that he's played so far above expectation for what we thought Brian Rocchio was and could be this season, to me, he's the MVP. He's been the steadying force of a lineup that, granted, is by no means great, but has been at least average enough to be 5 games above 500 at this point of the season because of what this guy's done.
Well, it's a good argument because Bull has him too.
Yeah, I picked them also. I don't agree. Their lineup has been below average overall, but you hit on the main reason. There's been a lot of inconsistency because, as you said, Travis Bazzana was not up for the first month, not his fault. Chase DeLauder didn't hit for a month. Jose hurt. Angel Martinez hurt. Stephen Kwan's been terrible for the most part this year.
Manzardo
got off to a terrible start the first month. He was awful, first month and change. Brian Rocchio, when most of us, myself included, had written him off as a high-caliber player, he was the only reason Bazzana got into the All-Star game over him is because there's more good shortstops in the American League than there are second basemen. He's been the one of the offensive players, he's been the most consistently steady, good player, and you would have never picked him. If you would have said to us in the beginning of the year, who's going to be the most consistently good player in the lineup for the Guardians, we would have all said Jose. And then after Jose, we would have probably all said Stephen Kwan. Yeah. Maybe Bazzana if we knew he was going to be up.
He would have been
maybe DeLauder.
The 12th pick.
Nobody would have picked Brian Rocchio. Nobody.
This is a guy, Bull, as you know, we kind of thought that there was this invisible sweepstakes when Bazzana got called up.
Yeah.
Well, that means one of the two between Arias and Rocchio has to go.
Yeah.
And Arias, when he got hurt, became the obvious, well, this guy's got to go.
Yeah.
I still think that they would shop him in a second if they thought there'd be a buyer.
Yeah, right.
They're probably trying to shop him.
Yeah.
So Rocchio not only won that sweepstakes to stay on the team, he's now October Rocchio.
Yeah, and his defense
that's what we were begging for.
We needed more consistency on defense. He's done that. He's not perfect defensively,
he's been a lot
but
better.
He's been a lot better, more consistent. The bat's just been solid. He hasn't. He, unlike a lot of the other guys, he hasn't been hot and cold. He's just been pretty good.
You know what we
He's
haven't
been good all
mentioned
year.
about him, and I don't know what the numbers are. I'm sure that this isn't just anecdotal. He's, I think, been our best clutch player.
He's got 2 walk-off hits. He has the 1 walk-off homer. He had the walk-off
Yes.
single early in
Yeah.
April.
Yeah.
If
I
I'm
mean,
not forgetting one.
But I'm
there's
not
at
just
least
talking
2.
about the walk-off hits. The big home run was
Yeah.
big. That was obviously massive. But it seems like every time he's up close and late, he's coming through with a 2-run double.
I mean, 44 ribbies for a team that's not hitting all that much. He mostly had batted later in the lineup.
Is he our leading ribby guy? I think he is.
No, the Lauder's. The
Lauder has
Yeah.
more?
Yeah.
Wow.
But he's close. He's second.
Yeah, now,
But Cade
also-
Smith was a good choice. I seriously considered him. I tend to not like to vote for pitchers for MVP.
I don't either.
But if I was going to, I mean, Cade Smith is right there. I think you can make a case for DeLauder, even though he had a lull in the middle of the season. I think you can make a case for Bazzana. I think there's a number. I don't think there's a clear number one guy, but if I was going to go with a pitcher, it would have been Cade Smith.
One thing I'll say, which is a bit off topic, but I got to get this off my chest. I thought Joel Davis, when in the second inning, when Parker Messick came in to pitch,
Yeah.
I like the All-Star game. I like the conversations with the players while the game is going on. I didn't like necessarily suggesting pitches that the pitcher should throw.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
definitely if you're Davis, no.
Yeah.
You know,
right,
I mean, if you're one of the greatest pitchers of all time and you're in the booth, I would listen to him do it. But I was furious. The entire inning,
The whole
Parker
inning,
Messick was pitching.
Yeah.
They never mentioned Parker Messick.
Yeah,
He had like a 10 or an 11 pitch inning, 3 up, 3 down, perfect inning. The guy's a rookie. He got 0 run on the broadcast, and I was furious over that.
I hadn't really thought about it, but now that you said it, I was like,
I was furious.
Yeah.
And they've got to do
Yeah,
better
We
than
that's
that.
talked about that on
This
Wednesday.
is a guy who's just having
that's
an
ridiculous.
incredible career. And here's the thing that bothered me so much. If it was a guy that all of the country knew about, okay. No one outside of Cleveland knows Parker Messick.
No.
And this was a chance for him to come out and say, here I am, Major League Baseball.
Right.
And
he did so great.
And it was
And
a great
they never
inning. It was a
even
great
mentioned
inning,
him.
too. And we're going to talk more Messick in a little bit, I promise. He's coming up.
yeah, I know he is
coming
because
up.
he's on my list too.
Go ahead.
All right, next up, this is the least valuable player, which is an award that I've never heard given before.
We made
But
some
I'm
good
glad
stuff,
I'm glad we're doing it. And I'm curious to see if we all have the same answer. For me, this was the easiest one. This was Stephen Kwan.
Yeah, that was
tic-tac-toe.
a no. I think it's the only sweep, right?
If my memory serves correct, I think this is the
I
only.
believe so.
I was when I put this down, I thought, God, if anybody else has any other name, I'm curious to see who it's going to be.
Yeah, I mean, I don't.
And I hate doing this because personally, I love the guy.
Oh yeah.
I love him.
And I'm hoping that he got hot like the last week or so. Hopefully that'll carry over.
10 games in July.
He went from like low 2s to 220, mid 220s.
Hopefully, if we're doing second half awards, he wins comeback player of the year
Yeah.
for
He's
us.
hitting 345 in July with a 974 OPS.
Yeah. Now it's only 30 at bats.
30
but,
at bats,
but
Hey,
still,
yeah.
that's you know what, you're trending in the right direction.
Yes.
Here's
Yep.
why he's the least valuable.
That's
I
why.
mean, these numbers, if it was Bo Naylor or Austin Hedges, we'd be like, well, that's what we paid
that's
for.
Miles Straw. That was Miles Straw.
That's exactly Miles Straw. He's got 1 home run and 16 RBI. As an everyday player, he's only run into 16 runs batted in.
I mean,
that is stunning to me.
He's more than 100 points below a league average OPS. More than 100 points.
It's embarrassing.
Yeah.
He's just become
And that's
a
with
single
that
hitter.
hot streak, because I think he was in the 500s.
He was.
Well, what's happened is
585.
he lost his eye. I thought his biggest superpower was his discipline at the plate.
Yeah.
2 years ago, he was the hardest guy to strike out. He never would swing and miss. And now he's looking at pitches that are in the heart of the strike zone.
Yeah.
He is swinging consistently at pitches that are out of the strike zone.
Yeah.
Now, I did notice he stopped doing that in July.
I think the biggest thing is the first part, what you said.
Looking at pitches that are right
he's looking
there.
at good pitches. He would never do that.
Never.
Don't you think it's mental? I think it's very mental with him.
Here's my hope.
Yeah.
At the end of the year, he finishes 250.
Yeah.
7 home runs, 40 RBI.
Right.
And in some kind of a closeout sit-down interview with the media, he says, listen, no one knew what was going on in my personal life, but someone very, very close to me was ill or something. Because for me, this isn't physical. He's still playing a Gold Glove outfield.
Right.
But something is up here.
100%.
And I don't know what it is. I'm just
Confidence.
hoping that it's something that can be fixed.
Right.
And that next year we see Stephen Kwan as we've seen him in the last couple of years.
I don't want to wait till next year. Let's go
I
right
don't either,
now.
and maybe he's turned the corner.
Hopefully.
I mean, clearly, 385 or whatever in July.
You know, the Guardians overall needed the All-Star break. Stephen Kwan did not need the All-Star break.
He was the one guy that wanted to keep playing.
We needed Stephen Kwan to keep playing. They should have sent them. They should have sent them to like some other league to keep playing.
Yeah.
Send them out to the Japanese league for a few days. Let them keep playing games.
Come play in our independent league here in Cleveland.
Yeah, right. Go play. You got a spot in your outfield.
But he's got to be on my team. I don't want to.
Yeah.
All right, Cy Young Award, and I know. Well, I did think I was confident that this would be 3 different answers, but I think that you've got who I have because you said we're going to talk about him later. I've got Parker Messick.
Yeah, me and you. No, I went with Cade Smith for this one.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
I did go with Cade Smith
because you went in for the.
And a reliever can't win Cy Young. I mean, I think it's only happened once or twice.
Very
But
rare.
you think
Rivera?
But a
and
reliever
Eckersley.
could win MVP.
For
That's
the team. For the team, not for the league.
Oh yeah.
For
okay.
a team.
This is Cy Young for the team. We would talk to Cade Smith real quick. The reason I went Cade Smith over Parker Messick is I picked Parker Messick for another one coming up in a little bit.
Okay.
And as you mentioned earlier, Cade Smith has been arguably the best closer in the American League this season. As good as Messick has been, Messick hasn't been the best starting pitcher in the American League. Cade Smith's arguably the best closer in the American League. So
I would
Cade
argue
Smith,
Chapman's been better.
Yeah, there's a couple of guys
Fine.
that
he's one or two.
His ERA is a little higher than it should be. I think, especially
he's very good. But Messick, I mean, especially listen, Cade Smith's a fine choice, but Messick's having a magnificent season as a rookie, and it's funny. Like I look at his stuff and I see it's good. He's definitely got good stuff, but it's not elite.
No,
I don't think.
his changeup's elite.
But you know what he has elite?
Changeup's elite.
Okay, the changeup, but that's one pitch. The rest of his stuff is not. His fastball's not special.
Yeah.
But what he's got is I think he's got elite makeup. He's got elite.
Yeah.
Whatever
he's got
it
elite
is.
moxie.
Yeah.
And he's very old school. Like grind it out. Even when my stuff, he's the type of guy that even if his stuff's not great, he'll grind it through.
Yeah, he will. He'll give you the
Can
best.
I ask you a question about Messick real quick?
Yeah.
I feel like the modern day Haas pitcher, just like the big.
I know what you're talking about. The Roger Clemens, the thick lower half.
There's not as many guys like
There's
that.
not, and he's not a gigantic person. Like he's not, he doesn't have the giant, massive lower body that CC Sabathia, some of those guys had. But he kind of carries himself like a Haas.
Yeah, he does.
And that's, I think, my favorite part of Parker Messick and the Parker Messick experience.
Well, you guys are touching on the fringe of the point I want to make most about why I love Parker Messick. And I don't know if you guys will agree with this or even understand it. But there is a rhythm to pitching.
Oh, yeah.
He's quick.
And
right on top of
I've always been, get it, take the sign, and throw it. I want 8 seconds would be enough for me on a shot clock, pitch clock. He gets it, gets rid of it, and that was the first thing I noticed about him when he came up last year during his debut. I'm like, I love this guy.
Yeah.
And to me, as a hitter, I don't like that. I like between pitches to start doing the mental gymnastics. Okay, I'm down 0-1. Now his whole menu is available. He could come fastball. He could surprise me with a fastball, but it's something crooked, a wrinkle. But with him, he's getting it. He's nodding. And the catchers, I think have all realized that he likes to go that way. So they're bringing the signs in even quicker.
I 100% agree. There's no messing around.
No.
Pitch clock's irrelevant when he's out there. He reminds me, this is a strong comp, but after watching him for a year, he reminds me of Mark Burley.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, my
I
God.
like
That's
that.
a very
Who's
good
not
shot.
a Hall of Famer, but he's in that Hall of Very Good.
He's the Hall of Very Good. And
if he's Mark Burley, I'll sign for that.
You aren't kidding.
He's a lefty. What was Mark Burley's best pitch?
Changeup.
Yeah.
He threw a perfect game, right? Real quick, Burley.
Burley, I think, did have either no-hitter or
He had a perfect game.
Perfect game, yeah.
He's kind of a hefty lefty.
Messick, you said that he doesn't have great stuff, and I would tend to agree with that.
Besides the changeup.
But he does have an A-plus changeup.
And he's just got a... Yeah, go ahead.
The pacing, the way he works
it makes a difference.
The hitters, I'm telling you, he's keeping hitters guessing and off balance, and that's a big part of pitching.
In basketball, because that's where I just refer to in all these, you don't have to be lightning fast, but if you can control your tempo and speed, sometimes playing slow is an advantage. Ty Jerome's a perfect example. Ty Jerome's not blowing by anyone, but because he plays at his pace and puts the defensive player in an awkward position to
somewhere
where
they
you
don't
have
want
to
to
react to them as opposed to doing what's normal.
And that's what Messick's doing.
Messick is the baseball pitching equivalent of a Ty Jerome in the terms of putting the hitter in their wheelhouse, not letting the hitter determine or dictate the pacing.
He's one of those pitchers that I think hitters think like, I should be able to hit this guy. And yet I don't hit him. and yet they don't make hard contact against him.
I like his curveball a lot too.
He's
Just a
like
good
his
pitcher.
he's a better
good
pitcher than I thought he was.
What is his career record is outstanding.
Would you
I
say
mean, I know
he's
he pitched in, 5 or 6 games last
Yeah.
year, but
I heard Roger Clemens
No,
on the podcast talk about the difference in a pitcher versus a thrower, and how
Yeah.
so many guys in today's era of baseball are just throwers.
Yes.
They want to
yeah,
reach
well,
back.
a lot of them
102,
because they're overpowering
103.
you. No, he's a pitcher.
He's a pitcher,
He's a
and not a thrower.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's very
100%.
old school, and it's very. I mean, the Reds just signed Chase Burns yesterday. He's a guy I would consider.
Yeah, I would too. I'd lock
think
him
he
up.
is-
Would you sign him before you signed DeLauder with his injury history?
Yep, I would.
No, because I'd still rather. I think in the long run, pitchers are more likely to have serious injuries.
But
than
DeLauder
hitters.
scares me. He's got a injury history. The one thing that surprised me about Messick when I interviewed him at spring training, he walked into the room, he had shorts on and just, he didn't have his uniform on. And you had mentioned this, like that hoss mentality. He's just a big, substantial, solid dude.
Yeah.
Where I would juxtapose that with a couple of years ago when Tristan McKenzie walked in and I laid eyeballs on him for the first time in anything but
Yeah.
a baseball uniform. And I already knew he was Mr. Salty Thin.
Right.
But when I saw him in person,
it was crazy.
I was taken aback by it. I literally, in my mind, I remember thinking, oh, good God, you're never going to be able to withstand the rigors of a 40 start season. Never.
Yeah.
But when Parker Messick walked in, I was surprised the other way. I'm like, dude, you're built like a defensive tackle.
Big dude.
Yeah.
He's got a large lower half, and I think that's where pitchers generate their
I'll never
their
forget
power.
the first time I met Ryan Howard in person in the minor leagues.
Gigantic.
Oh, massive.
I was just like, this guy's not like
Yeah.
he's not like the rest of these guys.
Yeah, exactly right.
All
He
right.
looked like Miles Garrett.
He's lost a ton of weight though. He does a
I haven't seen
podcast
him in
now.
a long
Yeah, he's
time.
really thin.
All
now.
right, Cy Yuck.
Cy
I
Young.
like the naming
like
of this
this?
award. I really did. I like the. Now,
Mike
me,
was
this
very
was
proud
easy.
of this one.
this was my.
Oh!
This was my hardest award.
I disagree with you on this
you
one.
guys.
Jay.
Okay, I see what you guys did. Wait, no.
No,
Cy
no,
Young.
no.
Go back.
Go
You
back
gotta
to the
go
one
to
you were
Cy
just
Young.
on.
We went with Sean Armstrong.
Yeah, I wanted to go that way.
Yeah.
But because to me 80% of pitching is starting, I went with the guy that I expected more of this year.
See, I think he's been
expected-
good for a fifth
He's
starter.
been okay.
But he's
just
a
been-
fifth starter.
but
Like, what did you
I
expect?
had high expectations with him after I left Arizona in spring training. He had told me some things that he had worked on, developed other pitches, worked on other pitches. And I like his physical makeup, or his mental makeup.
Yeah.
He seemed to me to be very mentally strong. I'm like, I like this guy a lot. I think this guy has the potential to push his way into the front end of the rotation.
Yeah.
The reason this was the most difficult for me is because,
They don't really have.
my God, our pitching for the most part has been
pretty darn good.
outstanding.
Right, but except for Sean
Armstrong.
Sean Armstrong has been a
was
huge
the only
disappointment.
guy the Guardians spent money on this offseason. Not a crazy money, but they paid him like $6-7 million.
$7 million.
Yeah, and he's
been
not lived
terrible.
up. Yeah, he's been very bad.
And he's been a guy who's been a good reliever. It seems like whenever the Guardians sign these older relievers,
And he'd
it
been in the
never works out.
organization before.
Yeah,
Who was the guy last year they signed that didn't pan out?
by the way, he's having Paul Sewald.
Oh,
He's
yeah,
having
now he's pitching like the
he's
guy
been
we
great.
thought we were going
Is
to
he?
get. Yes.
He's the Diamondbacks closer. He's been he's blown some saves, but he's been much better than he was here last year.
We didn't see that guy last year.
No.
We didn't see that guy at all.
Yeah.
And
No.
it's been
But
crazy.
Armstrong's been lousy. All right.
Cy Yuck. I
Cy
like that a
Yuck,
lot.
yeah.
I like
All right.
what's up next?
You have most improved up next, and I am very happy to see who two of you selected.
Look at that.
Yeah, I mean, how can you not
Look
go?
at me picking Austin Hedges.
I
You were
saved-
not a surprise.
I saved Hedges for late. I had to reuse somebody, and my special award that I'm going to give out later is with Austin Hedges. So I didn't want to double up. He's the right for the record. He's the right answer. But Rocchio, I thought, was second because of all the things we talked about earlier this
the
season.
thing is, Austin Hedges, unarguably, has been the worst hitter in baseball.
Going back to 2018, Bull.
I was going to say for a decade.
Yeah.
Basically a decade.
Yeah.
He's been the worst hitter in baseball.
He's flirting with 300.
And it's limited sample size, but he's hit the ball very well. I don't want to make him an everyday catcher.
I want more of him, Bull.
I don't buy he's going to keep it up the rest of the year, but he's been so much better than he's ever been offensively. He had to win this award. It's been remarkable.
This is the one I thought the least amount of time about.
Yeah.
Hedges Hedges is the right answer. I just wanted to save Hedges for my personal award coming
Poor
up,
job.
which
That's poor
we'll
job.
laugh at in a second. All right, what's the next one, Ant?
We got Rookie of the Year, guys.
Yeah, oh, wow.
I want Parker Messick.
Okay.
For all the reasons we've talked about, Parker Messick's been their most
here's
consistent.
what's most fascinating about this.
Yeah.
You could have Messick.
Yeah.
You could have Travis Bazzana.
Yep.
Who, by the way, we've got
Yeah.
two other guys as Rookie of the Year, not the guy that made the All-Star team. I mean, Messick made
That's
the
true.
All-Star team too.
Yeah.
But to me, I thought this one was fairly easy. Chase DeLauder has been everything we had hoped he would be. Yeah, there was a little stretch in there where he got hurt, but it wasn't like a soft tissue injury from running the bases. You know, it was. I think he had the ribs from.
Yeah, rib
so, for me, he's done everything that I had hoped he would do. Even though we went a huge stretch from like the second week of the season until recently with no home runs.
Yeah.
He's sort of found that groove again. Wouldn't be surprised if he finishes with 20 home runs.
The reason I went Messick was just the exact reason you mentioned, the consistency.
Yeah.
And once again, this is splitting hairs. If you went Bazzana, I'd have no argument. I really don't have an argument against DeLauder.
I thought someone would go Bazzana.
Messick was just a slight more consistent, and their peaks have been about the same. That's why I went Messick over.
I think when I was doing this, I forgot that Messick was a rookie. So he's probably the best choice. But because he's been a better pitcher than DeLauder's been a hitter this year. But I don't know. I love DeLauder. I think he's going to be an all-star at some point here, and I think he's eventually going to be a 30 home run guy.
Yeah, I hope so.
And they haven't had, but I think he'll hit 20 this year, even though he's at, what is he, at 10 now?
It's 11.
11.
Yeah.
Remember, the Guardians have not had an outfielder hit 20 since Michael Brantley, who is retired.
It's insane.
There is not an active major league player.
And what year did he do that, Bull?
I believe it was
07?
It was 14.
No, 14.
that
I think 14,
Okay.
yeah.
But still, that's still 12 years
My
ago.
God.
Yeah.
That's stunning.
In an era where home runs are more common.
And it's not like we're saying 30 home runs. We're saying 20.
And it's a power position.
Yes.
These are positions that you need. Those corner outfielders, you need 20 to 30 home runs if you're going to be a competitor.
And now we are past the halfway point because the Guardians have played 97 games, 95, whatever.
I know
But I
coming
think
up on
he's.
230.
I'd be very surprised if he didn't hit at least 9 more home runs this year.
All right, let's go to least improved.
We ended up scrapping that. That was Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, we got rid of that.
We also
Jay,
made
your
Manzardo.
special
Scrapped,
award
okay.
We
is
also
up
said
next.
Manzardo for least improved.
Okay.
Yeah,
We all had Manzardo.
Although in fairness, Manzardo since about the second week of May has been pretty good.
Yeah, but for the season, I expected him to take a jump.
Yeah,
He's taken a
we'll
step
see.
back.
By the end of the year, I think we'll feel better about
Okay.
him. But okay, go ahead.
All right, so this is the Create Your Own Award.
This is Jay's special award.
No, you got Rookie of the Year there.
Mm.
This is the I Can't Believe It Award.
Yeah.
And I went with Austin Hedges, but the guys I gave you weren't on there. I said
the guys that
I
Mike
said,
gave me were Bazzana and DeLauder.
That's what you sent me.
I had Austin Hedges in there too, but that's okay.
Oh, it's
Okay.
Ed Hedges. Yeah.
Yeah,
Hedges, Bazzana, and DeLauder.
yeah.
The fact that those 3 guys have been 3 of their 4 best players.
Stunning.
Yeah.
It's absolutely stunning.
Yeah.
We thought
Offensive players.
we talked about this a million times, but we thought that it would be the traditional José Ramírez and Stephen Kwan that were leading the charge.
Yeah.
And it just
And you would have
hasn't
thought
worked out that
Manzardo
way.
third.
I would have had Manzardo
Yeah.
absolutely third in some cases.
Right.
I think a lot of folks thought that he was going to surpass Stephen Kwan
Yeah.
and be second.
Second for sure.
Right.
And
And the
it's
top
just-
4 have been those 3
Yeah.
and Rocchio.
Yeah, which is
Yeah.
crazy. And I mean, that bodes well for the team.
testament
Yes, it
to
does.
get some
Kwan
of those
returns
guys
to
back.
Kwan
Yeah.
and Jose returns healthy.
And Manzardo keeps playing at the elevated level
Right.
he has. He's
And Angel
coming.
Martinez is
coming back. Yeah.
gets back, and he was playing
suddenly
pretty well.
We've got this problem of too many guys. Where are we going to play them? Never thought we'd have that.
All right. Who's up next, Dan? Is it me or Bull?
It is you, Mike. No, I'm sorry. It is Bull.
Okay. I went with the second best, the runner-up award. I didn't pick Travis Bazzana for any of the other awards, but there were a number of other awards where I was like, I was considering Travis Bazzana for like 3 or 4 different awards. And so I was like, I want to give him a mention because I love Travis Bazzana. I love his attitude. I love his energy. I loved him on the red carpet with his girlfriend. Is his girlfriend or wife? I don't
I
know.
think girlfriend.
I
I saw a meme that said the Guardians had the best looking girlfriends at the All-Star game.
had a friend text me and goes, dude, what's with Kyle Schwarber's wife? And I'm like, don't be talking about other people's wives.
I
That's
saw
messed
a
up.
picture with he and his wife and his kids.
yeah.
I thought it was cute because I was focused on
They've
the
been,
kids.
I think they were high
kids
school
looks-
sweethearts,
Good for
Oh,
him.
okay.
Yeah, good for him.
you know,
Yeah.
so whatever. Like, who the hell am I to
Who
judge
cares?
a woman's appearance? And neither are you. You know who you are, that person that texted me. But anyway, I just love what Bazzana's done, and I felt like he needed to be mentioned for an award, so he's
All right.
wins the runner-up
Runner-up award.
to a lot of different awards.
I mentioned I didn't choose Austin Hedges for most improved, and that's
Yeah.
because I gave Austin Hedges the
Anthony Antonelli lookalike award?
Take that,
Yeah,
Bull, and shove it up your you-know-what award for proving Bull wrong. Bull said this guy cannot hit. He's hitting 288. He has technically the highest OPS on the team. Small sample size.
Yeah.
You don't have to say it.
He
We know.
wouldn't
We know
qualify.
it.
Played like
We
40
know.
games
Yeah, yeah.
or something. So
Hey,
Hey,
he's
but I'm
played
giving him
almost
his
60.
credit. I'm giving him
yeah,
his love.
Bull's giving him
So
flowers.
Bull, take that
Yeah.
and shove it up your you-know-what.
Hey, that's a little over the top.
Take that, Bull. All right, those were fun. I'm glad we did
I like
that.
that.